Hi everyone, welcome to this session. This session will be mainly focusing on the Microsoft Excel. So I will be letting you know regarding some of the basic features of MS Excel. And the reason behind this tutorial of MS Excel is that in financial modeling, we will be using MS Excel to build various financial models. So it is imperative for anyone who wants to master the art of financial modeling to get a basic idea about MS Excel. So in this particular session, I will be letting you know some of the basics of MS Excel. So let's begin. Let us first of all look at some of the basic operations of MS Excel. As you can see in your screen that you have some data. This data is the income statement of XYZ Limited, XYZ Limited being the name of the company, and this particular data is the income statement of XYZ Limited. Now let's look at revenue. Now over here you can see that revenue is 25,000. So in revenue, gross sales actually is 25,000. And then there is some sales return. Sales return is of 1,000 rupees. So if you have to calculate the net sales, it will be gross sales minus sales return. So how you are going to calculate it? You first of all type is equal to is typed every time you enter a formula in any of the cells of Microsoft Excel. So this is very important that you put a is equal to sign before you are putting in any formula. Now what we are trying to do over here is we are trying to subtract sales return from gross sales, and sales return being 1,000 rupees and gross sales being 25,000 rupees. So first of all we will select the amount of gross sales minus sales return, and then we hit enter. As you can see, net sales has been calculated, which is 24,000 rupees. Now, next come to calculating the COGS, which is cost of goods sold. So you can see the data which will be used to calculate the cost of goods sold. We have beginning inventory, then we have to add purchase, add freight in, add direct labor, add indirect expenses, and then we have to reduce the ending inventory from the total so that we arrive at the figure of cost of goods sold. So how exactly we are going to do that? First of all, put a is equal to sign, select the first piece of data which is beginning inventory, then add. So we press plus, we select purchase, again we press plus, then freight in, then plus, then direct labor, again plus, and then indirect expenses, then minus the ending inventory, and we hit is equal to. So now we have calculated the figure of cost of goods sold, which is 2,520 rupees. Next, we have to calculate the gross profit or gross loss. So to calculate the gross profit, the formula will be net sales minus cost of goods sold. So we type is equal to, we select the figure of net sales and we subtract from it the cost of goods sold, and then we hit enter. So now we know what is our gross profit. It is 21,480 rupees. Next, we have to calculate the gross profit margin. Gross profit margin being the percentage of gross profit to net sales. So to calculate that, we first of all type is equal to, then we take net sales, we can take net sale or we can also take it later on. Just first of all, let's select the amount of gross profit divided by net sales multiplied by 100. And since this has to be in percentage, we can simply change it. We can simply go, see this is showing right now currency. Let's change it to percentage terms, or we can change it to number. So this is 89.50. That is your percentage, right? Moving on, next we have to calculate the total expenses. Now to calculate the total expenses, we have to add all these various expenses that are there. Let's say we have advertising, we have amortization, we have bad debts, these being all the expenses. So we have to calculate the total. So one of the approaches of calculating the total expenses will be to type is equal to, then select advertising plus amortization plus bad debt. So as you can see, this will take a lot of time because we have to select each and every expense and then type plus. So and since we have so many expenses, it is going to take some time to calculate the total expenses. So to overcome this problem, we can use the function which is built in Excel, which is the sum function. So you just type sum, sum. As you can see over here, it shows sum. Add all numbers in a range of cells. So you select sum. Now you can see it is asking for the numbers, right? Number 1, number 2. So what you have to do is simply select all the cells which you want to add. So beginning from advertising, select all the cells which have the data of expenses until wages, right? That is the last item of expense, wages, and then we close the bracket and then we hit enter. So as you can see, Excel has calculated the total expenses as 266 rupees. Next, we have to calculate net operating income. Net operating income being net sales minus COGS minus total expenses. So we can calculate it. We first of all have to select net sales. Out of this amount, reduce the cost of goods sold, which is 2520 rupees, and then subtract the amount of total expenses. Total expenses have been calculated over here. So simply select the cell, hit is equal to. So here we have the net operating income, which is 21,214 rupees. So as we can see, we have calculated the net operating income, which is 21,214 rupees. Next, we have to calculate the total other income. The total other income being equal to gain loss on sale of assets plus interest income. Since both the figures are 0, obviously our total other income will be also 0. Last, we have to calculate the net income. Net income being net operating income plus total other income. So we get the figure of 21,214 rupees. So these were some of the basic functionalities, and we can make some other calculations as well. So let's suppose if you are being given that the selling price per unit is 25 rupees and you are being asked to calculate the total number of units sold. How you can calculate it? You can put is equal to sign. You can select the amount of gross sales that will be divided by the selling price per unit. Hit enter. You get 1000. So total number of units sold is 1000. Next, you have to calculate the gross sales when selling price is increased to rupees 30. So what you can do is you can put a is equal to sign. You know the total number of units sold is 1000, and if the selling price has been increased to 30, we can simply multiply the total number of units sold with the number 30. Hit enter. We get 30,000. So 30,000 being our gross sales. And if you want to change it into currency, you can also do that. Go to home. Over here, select it in currency. So you can see that now it is showing 30,000 rupees. Next is what we have to calculate is count the number of type of expenses. How many types of expenses we had. Now one of the ways is to do it manually. That is by counting that advertising being the first one, amortization being the second one, bad debt being the third one. Rather than that, it is more advisable to use the count function. Count function will simply count the total numbers, the total values, right? So what you can do is you can simply select the first one, the first expense, and drag it to the last expense, which is wages. Close the bracket and hit enter. So it is showing there are total 29 different type of expenses. Next, if you are being informed that the total number of workers in the factory is 4 and you are supposed to calculate the average wages, how you're going to do that? You put a is equal to sign, you search for wages. Wages is here, total wages being 24 rupees divided by total number of workers. You select that, you hit enter, then the average wages is rupees 6. So we are done with this particular sheet. So in this sheet you have learned some of the basic operations like using the sum function, using the count function, and using the basic operators like multiplication, subtraction, and addition and division. Right. Now there is a function called autofill. It is a feature in Excel which will help you to put in the numbers very quickly. Let's suppose that you have the data of, let's say you have mentioned that the year is 2016 and then you have mentioned that the year is 2017. Now you need to continue this. You need to simply keep on increasing the year. So one approach is that you type 2018, then you type 2019, then you type 2020, right? But that is going to take a lot of time. So there is a shortcut method to it. Simply select is equal to and select both these cells, right? Now you go to the bottom of the D2 cell. Let me just do it once more. Yeah. So you have selected both the cells 2016 and 2017. Now as soon as you go to the bottom of D2 cell, you see a plus sign. You simply have to drag this. As you can see, 2018 is getting mentioned, then 2019 is getting mentioned. So you can extend it to any number that you want. Let's say we want it to 2022. Simply hit enter and then you will get the year being extended to 2022. Now one of the most important thing is that the increase in numbers will be the same as the increase in number of the first two cells, right? So you can see that 2017 is one more than 2016. So the same thing will continue in the future as well, right? So 2017 plus 1 is 2018, 2018 plus 1 is 2019. Let's suppose that if we have 2016 and 2018, so now we have to take this forward, right? So again you go to the bottom of D4, you see the plus sign, and now you will see that the year are increasing by 2, right? So the first two cells were 2016 to 2018, and since we have used the autofill option, it will automatically increase the year by 2. So 2018 plus 2, 2020, 2020 plus 2, 2022. So this is how it goes. Coming to three more functions of Excel, first being the growth rate, second being the filter, and third being the sort. Let's have a look at these one by one. So this is the data on which we are going to work. We have year which is FY 2005, which means financial year 2005. In the same manner, below 5 financial year 2005, we have financial year 2006 and so on. And we have the amount of net profit. So in financial year 2005, the net profit was 14,446 rupees, and in the same manner it continues. Then we have the product code. That means if we have a product and its code is A, in financial year 2005, its profit earned from selling product A was 14,446 rupees. As you can see, we have a lot of different products, product A, product D, product E. So we have mentioned that in this data. Over here, you can see some of the questions on which we will be working. Let's look at the first question. Calculate the percentage increase decrease in net profit for financial year 2006 onwards. So now if you are asked that whether the profit has increased or decreased in percentage terms as compared to the previous year, then how you are going to calculate it? Simply put a is equal to sign. The current year figure being 40,000. That is, if we are trying to calculate the amount of percentage of increase or decrease in financial year 2006 amount of net profit in comparison to the amount of net profit in financial year 2005. So we simply select financial year 2006 amount, subtract financial year 2005 amount. We can put this in bracket, divided by the previous year amount, which is 14,446. Next we hit enter. We are getting 1.82, but this is a number not in percentage terms. We can always change it in percentage terms by simply pressing this particular button. Over here you can see percentage. So 182%, and this is plus 182%, which means that the net profit in financial year 2006 has increased by 182% in comparison of financial year 2005. Now, if this is only for 1 year calculation, right? You have calculated the percentage increase or decrease in financial year 2006 net profit in comparison to the net profit made in financial year 2005, right? Now, let's suppose you have to calculate it for all the years, right? Let's suppose that next thing you have to calculate is what is the percentage increase or decrease in amount of net profit in financial year 2007 when compared to 2006. What we can do is we can simply select this, come to the bottom of the cell and simply drag it. We will get all the percentages by itself. Now let me explain to you how does it happen. Over here, when you select the first cell, you can see the formula in the formula bar. C4 is 40,782 rupees minus C3, which is 14,446, divided by C3, which is 14,446 rupees. Now, when we come to the next cell, see, automatically it has increased each and every cell by 1, right? Earlier what it was? Earlier it was C4 minus C3 divided by C3. Next it is C5 minus C4 divided by C4. Next it is C6 minus C5 divided by C5. So you can see that it is automatically increasing the cell and taking the next cell into the consideration, right? So that is how you can perform a very long calculation in a very short period of time. Now for the time being, let's delete this. Next, we have to create a filter for the year. Now over here you can see there are a lot of years, financial year 2005, financial year 2006, which is continued until financial year 2022. Let's suppose you are asked what is the amount of net profit for financial year 2016. Then you have to search for the year, right? So the better way to do is select the year and create a filter. How do we create a filter? We create the filter by going into the data, and you see the filter option over here. Just click on this. Now you see this particular button which shows, when you click on it, it will show you all the years, right? You simply deselect everything, and let's suppose you are asked what was the net profit in financial year 2010. You simply select financial year 2010, hit OK. Now see, the data Now it is only showing the net profit of financial year 2010, right? In the same manner, let's say you are being asked what is the net profit of financial year 2010 as well as financial year 2009. So you select financial year 2009 as well and you hit enter. Now you can see the net profit of financial year 2009 and financial year 2010, right? So this is how you can create a filter. The next task that we have is we have to arrange the net profit in increasing and decreasing order. So we have the amount of net profit. We have to simply arrange it. First of all, let's arrange it in the increasing order. What we do is we select all the amount of net profit. We go to data. Over here, it shows A to Z, which is the sorting smallest to largest or lowest to highest. That will be the increasing order. So we simply click on it. Now it is asking that since we have selected only the net profit cells, right? It is asking should it expand the selection, which means should it expand it to the year and the product code as well. So we simply say, we simply let it be the way it is, expand the selection, and we hit the sort button. As you can see now, we have now the net profit in an increasing order. It is increasing and all the years have been sorted by itself. That means the lowest profit was being made in financial year 2018. Then next amount of net profit, which is 5,828 rupees, is being made in the financial year 2016 and so on. Even the product code have got sorted, right? So this is how we can put it in increasing order. Same way we can put it in decreasing order as well. Simply select the net profit, go to data. Over here sort is Z to A, which is the highest to lowest, which is the decreasing order. Simply click on it. It will again ask you whether you want to expand the selection. Hit on sort. So now this time around the highest amount of profit will be shown first of all, because this is set in decreasing order, right? So we will have the first amount of profit as 49,120 rupees, which was made in the year financial year 2012 and the product was tea. So this is how you can set any data in increasing or decreasing order. Now let's say you are asked to calculate the CAGR. CAGR is compounded annual growth rate, right? So how to calculate the compounded annual growth rate? You are being asked in this particular prompt, calculate CAGR of net profit from financial year 2005 to financial year 2008 using RRI function. So we have to calculate the compounded annual growth rate of net profit from financial year 2005 to financial year 2008. And we are being told that we have to use the RRI function. So simply type is equal to, then type RRI. Here you can see a brief description of RRI is given, returns an equivalent interest rate for the growth of an investment. So you simply put the bracket. Now it is asking you three things. The RRI function is asking you about three things. N per, which is number of periods, PV being the present value, FV being the future value. So what are the number of periods? From 2005 to 2008, we have three number of periods. 2005 to 2006 being the first one, 2006 to 2007 being the second one, and 2007 to 2008 being the third one. So number of periods is 3, comma. What is the present value? What is the value today? It is 14,446. And what is the future value? What is the value in 2008? We select it and then we hit enter. We are getting 11%, which means that the net profit has increased at the rate of 11% in between 2005 to 2008. Now let's come to the next function, which is max, minimum and transpose. So over here you have the data of the product, and product is product A, product B, product C, and the list goes on. And then you have the sales of the product, which is the annual sales in rupees. Let's say that the product A has the annual sales of 23,000 rupees, and product B has the annual sales of 24,000 rupees. Now over here you can see two questions that we have. First question is using max function to find the maximum annual sales of a product. So if you are being asked what was the maximum amount of sales of any product from all these annual sales data that you have been given, how you will find it? Simply use the max function. Type max. Over here there is a brief description of the max function. Returns the largest value in a set of values. Ignore logical values and text. So it will only take the numbers. It will ignore all the logical values and all the alphabets like the text, right? So we simply put a bracket and then we select all the annual sales, close the bracket, hit enter. So it has returned the maximum amount of sales, which is 68,000. In the same manner, if you are being asked to calculate the minimum annual sales by a product, so in place of maximum, which we used earlier, we will use min, which is minimum. You select it and then you again select all the annual sales, close the bracket, hit enter. You get 12,000. 12,000 being the lowest amount of annual sales registered by one of the products. So this is how you go about finding the maximum. Maximum can be calculated by using the max function, and the minimum, which is being found by using the minimum function. Next, we have the function of transpose. Let's say we have, as you can see over here, we have the data of product in column B, and we have the data of annual sales in column C, right? Now if you look below over here where the cursor is, you can see that we have the product A, B, C, D, and it goes on, and we have the annual sales below it, right? So how can we put this particular data which I've just selected into this format which I've just selected? One of the ways is the long method, in which what we can do is we can put a is equal to sign, then select the product A annual sales, hit enter, then we select B is equal to, then we select the sales of B, then hit enter. But it is going to take a time because we have to do it for all the products ending at the product K. So there is a better way to do it, which is known as the transpose function. Let's see how it is done. We first of all select all the annual sales and type Control C. So we have copied all the annual sales. Then we come to the first annual sales, which is of product A, in the cell G16, and then we select this particular paste option, which is the transpose option. Hit on it, and then you can see that all the data has been transposed, right? You can see over here C, the annual sales of product C was 50,000. Over here it is also 50,000. So it has been transposed.